Hello, it's me Skin Glow and Afro, and I'm back here to do another YouTube video, and I wanted to talk about the whole Brexit situation, or lack thereof, because at this point we don't really know whether the UK is coming or going. So as you know, the 23rd of June 2016, if you live here in the UK, was the date when the referendum occurred, and we basically said yes, we want to leave. Like 58% of voters said they wanted to leave, compared to 46% who wanted to remain within the EU. But now it's 2019 and we still haven't left yet. Now, the former Prime Minister Theresa May tried to get her Brexit deal to go through several times, and it kept getting rejected. She tried many a times, and her own party was the ones who kept rejecting it. It's actually quite sad. I mean, to be fair, I'm not the biggest Theresa May fan, considering the whole situation with regards to Windrush, but that's for a whole nother video. However, I do have to feel bad for her in a way, because she tried her best to get the Brexit plan to go through and they kept saying no. But I mean, it's not that easy being a female Prime Minister when the majority of your Tory party is made up of white men. So you kind of get where I'm going with this, patriarchy, misogyny everywhere technically. BBC News has to say Brexit, all you need to know about the UK leaving the EU. So it says the UK is due to leave the European Union at 11 o'clock GMT on the 31st of October 2019. So it says, what is Brexit? So British exit refers to the UK leaving the EU. The EU is an economic and political union involving 28 European countries. It allows free trade and free movement of people to live and work in whichever country they choose. The UK joined in 1973 when it was known as the European Economic Community. If the UK leaves as planned on the 31st of October, it will be the first member state to withdraw from the EU. Our current Prime Minister of the UK is the new head of the Tory party. His name is Boris Johnson. Now, Boris Johnson has a history of being very racist and misogynistic, not just to black people, but white people as well. This man and racism just goes like this. I honestly don't know what his problem is, but at this point it's kind of like mad. Now, when he became Prime Minister, he wanted to crash out of the EU, but that kind of got blocked. It's not going to happen really. And last week he actually put Parliament on lockdown, the same way lovely America's president did the exact same thing a couple of months ago, when he put the White House on lockdown and wasn't letting nobody go nowhere and nobody could get paid. That's the exact same thing that Boris Johnson. The Guardian, it says Brexit. Boris Johnson denies lying to the Queen about reason for prorogation as it happened. Boris Johnson has said that it is absolutely not true that he misled the Queen over his reasons for suspending Parliament. After a Scottish court ruled his suspension unlawful, he suspended Parliament, like I explained previously, because he did it to stop MPs scrutinising Brexit. Now, he don't really have a Brexit plan. He wanted to crash out of it. And it's kind of funny though, because it's now coming up to almost 4 years since originally we were supposed to leave Europe, and yet still nothing productive is going on. It seems to be the same nonsense over and over and over and over again, and it's like nobody wants to sit down and actually have a look at it, as in, should we just withdraw altogether this idea of Brexit, or go ahead with it? Does anyone have an idea? Michelle Barnier has told MEPs there remains insufficient grounds for reopening formal negotiations over the Brexit withdrawal agreement 6 months after Theresa May and the European Commission closed them. The High Court in Belfast has dismissed claims that a non-deal Brexit and the imposition of a hard border would damage the Northern Ireland peace process. Gordon Brown, the Labour former Prime Minister, has said that the government is still not telling the truth about medicine and food shortages that would result in the event of a no-deal Brexit. Before speech in Edinburgh, Brown said the truth is that we are not taking back control but losing control of medical supplies and food and energy prices. The worst case scenario document downplays the risk to medical supplies, the threats to household budgets and the damage inflicted on the most vulnerable. At this point, I'm at a loss for words, because I just briefly catch people up who don't really know about the whole Brexit situation, just briefly catch you up. But it's kind of like, it's very confusing and it's very a temperamental time, because we all know that as soon as we leave the European Union, it's going to have an impact upon loads of things, like they said, household budgets, food shortages. We also have stores here in the UK that are European owned, such as IKEA is Swedish. We also have Lidl. I don't remember where Lidl is from. I think, is it Germany or is it Swedish as well? But you see, this will have an impact on those kind of stores where a lot of people go to because they're not too expensive. And it's kind of like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to them? Takeaway shops. What about the chefs who, don't come, who come over here? Is it going to be harder for them afterwards? Nobody's asking the right kind of questions, like, what massive impact is Brexit going to have on this country once we leave? Like, is the pound, like, they have estimates to say that the pound is likely to drop in value as soon as we've left. I mean, it kind of did earlier this year. And now they're saying like, oh, it might just happen again. So it's kind of like, at this point, we don't really know what's going on. I mean, I try to follow politics because on my course, Social Care and Health Studies, which I'm graduating from on Wednesday, they tell us to, follow along with what is going on, because, you need to know these kind of things because it has an impact upon every single occupation that you do. There are certain jobs that will, be stable afterwards, but other jobs, it may be a bit precarious. Honestly, this is scary times we're living in. Nobody knows whether they're coming or going. We don't know about this situation really, about Brexit. I mean, we can keep an eye on what's going on really by, following the media, the Independent, the Guardian, sometimes the Daily Mail. But at the end of the day, until Brexit actually happens, we are kind of like in unknown territory. We won't know what's going to happen until the 31st of October. And then you never know. That date may come and they may change their mind once again, because remember, back in March, we were supposed to leave the European Union in March. That didn't happen. Theresa May tried her best. She said like, oh, if it does not happen in March, then I'm stepping down. It didn't happen, so she did what she said she was going to do. In June, she stepped down. She's no longer Prime Minister. Now we have Boris Johnson. We have another devil on Downing Street, unfortunately. So, to conclude this video, scary times. That's all I got to say. Scary times.